All right, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. Shout out to Jimmy, by the way. Shout out to Jimmy, everybody. Goodness, let me button this up. I'm out here looking like an Italian pimp. Let me button that button right there. Get the proceedings proceeding this evening. Greetings and citations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk, where we give it to you straight with no chaser. I am your host, the People's Champ, Christopher Platt. As always, we're broadcasting live this evening from the Platt Cave. How's everybody doing out there this evening? I'm a little winded, man. That took a lot out of me. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Hope everybody's doing all right as I struggle to catch my breath. So what's going on, man? We gave you guys a reprieve last week. I actually had to step out of town. I had some business I had to attend to. Some of you know about it, some of you don't. We're going to get into it a little bit. I'll spare you the gory details, but we're going to get into it a little bit later on in the program when we get to our topic for this evening. But in the meantime, I do want to say from the bottom of my heart, and this is real, I just sincerely want to thank each and every one of you that knew what I was dealing with last week and that reached out to me. I really want to thank you. You have no idea how much that meant, just knowing that somebody gave a damn. So for everybody that reached out and touched out to me and made sure everything was going all right, again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much. That meant so much to me. God bless each and every one of you. I love you and thank you. So how's everybody doing this evening? Got a few things we're going to get to. I want to get to your questions before we get to the topic. Tonight's topic is going to be taking L's in life. We're going to get into a little bit about taking L's in life. When I say L's, I mean losses. So we're going to get into that. I want to get into your questions, however, before you do that. And before we do that, for those of you that are new to the program, there's two ways we can go about doing this. You can log on through the social stream of your choice, be it Facebook, Twitter, whatever the case may be. Or you can actually log on through the actual Ustream website itself. You'll have to, if you don't have one, you will have to set up a username as well as a password and all that good stuff. Either way, you do one of those things, and I can look right here to my right, and I'll be able to read your questions, I'll be able to read your comments, and I'll be able to read your concerns. Everybody knows this, of course, starts out as a monologue, but I hope that it develops into a dialogue. I want to hear what you have to say, hopefully as much as you want to hear what I have to say. As a matter of fact, I'm more interested in hearing what you have to say because, hell, I already know what I got to say, right? Because I'm me. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. It's been a lot going on. My Cavaliers are doing well. I'm excited. But my fellow Clevelanders, y'all know what it is. We're excited, but you got to be cool. You got to be cool because Cleveland is the personification of Murphy's Law. Meaning whatever can go wrong will. So we got to be cool. I really think we took those young boys' hearts, though. I really think that. And LeBron is playing out of his mind. I mean, you know, people are trying to make reference to the fact that he's not shooting the ball that well. However, this dude, the entire offense is running through him. I mean, every single play. And to try to put that into perspective for you, you know how Peyton Manning gets to the line of scrimmage, and before he calls the play, he sees what the defense is doing, and then you see him doing all this shit, and he does a bunch of motions and all that. It's basically the same thing. LeBron is basically the Peyton Manning of basketball right now. Like, he's calling the plays, and he's running the team. He's pretty much the head coach. Shout out to Nat Cage, you know what I mean? He provides us all with a lot of humor, but that's where it stops. Tonight's broadcast, by the way, is brought to you by the good people in Middleton. And it's also brought to you by Leinenkugel. You need to check out their summer shandy. It's delicious. If you're not much of a beer drinker, that's a good way to kind of introduce you to beers. It doesn't have that beery taste to it. You know what I mean? So that's a good one. So shout out to Leinenkugel as well as Middleton Black and Milds. So it feels like I've only been gone a week, but it feels like a lot longer than that, doesn't it? I was in Toledo, Ohio last week taking care of some business. And I was going to try to do a show from my hotel room, but honestly, the internet connection was so shaky, I didn't want to try it. I felt like it wasn't going to do anything but piss me off. And, you know, it might go in, it might go out. We have enough problems while I'm broadcasting from the Platt Cave. You know, sometimes the message thing doesn't show up and, you know, it's a little time delayed. So I just said, you know what, even though I probably needed to hear from y'all last week and I was kind of in down spirits, I probably needed to hear from y'all and feel some of that energy and some of that love, but it just didn't really seem like the most prudent decision, so I decided against it. So shoot me. But it seems like it's been a lot longer than a week, doesn't it? Yeah. So what's going on with you guys, man? Real quick, somebody give me a shout. Let me know who's in the room this evening. Let me know who's here. I tell you one thing, going back to the Cavaliers, one thing that all the sports writers hate right now is the fact that for the next probably 2-3 years, they're going to have to spend their Junes in Cleveland as opposed to South Beach. I'm sure they're a little pissy about that, right? Yeah. All right, so we're going to get to the topic this evening. I see nobody wants to chime in. That's cool. I'm going to take some of your questions before we get into the topic, however. Again, the topic tonight is going to be taking L's in life, all right? But before we get into that, let me get into a few of your questions, see what's on you all's mind, all right? What are your thoughts about the Brittney Griner situation? Good question. Now, you guys have heard about that, right? For those of you that don't know Brittney Griner, that's the real big, tall, butch broad that plays basketball. I mean, she's like 6'8". I don't mean to call her broad. She's actually pretty cool. I met her, and she's all right. She's cool. But she got into a situation with her wife, which is a fellow WNBA player. And there was a domestic violence situation. And now it's come out the day, like the wife announced that she was pregnant. And then the day after she announced the pregnancy, Brittney filed for an annulment. There's a lot of meat on that carcass, y'all. There's a lot of things to discuss there. That could be a real interesting conversation. That's one of those ones that you sit down with some of the stickiest of the icky and you just kind of chop it up about that, because there's a lot going on there. So we're not going to get into all of it because a lot of y'all probably don't care. But a couple of things that I found interesting was that, number one, the media has been very mum on this subject. Like, you might not have even realized that this thing was going on. That's how mum the media has been about it. And I'm inclined to give the media a pass on this one. Because, again, it is a lot going on, and it's kind of a touchy subject as well. And I don't think that anybody in the media wants to be the person that comes out with that hot take, and then if they mess around and get all of America pissed off at them. Like, nobody wants to be that person because it's such a delicate topic. Nobody really understands how to broach it. And plus, in order to write about this in a fair, balanced way, in a nuanced way, that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And quite frankly, there's a lot going on in the sports world right now. There's other stories that you can cherry pick. I mean, we have the NBA Finals going on. Just this past weekend, we had the first horse Triple Crown winner in 30-some-odd years. The NHL playoffs are going on. Stanley Cup Finals, they're playing baseball. So there's a lot going on. French Open just finished up, just wrapped up. So there's a lot going on in the sports world. So I'll give them a pass for not touching on this. Now, I will say that since we seem to be so gung-ho about domestic violence, it is domestic violence, right? Like, if we're so gung-ho against domestic violence, shouldn't we be gung-ho against domestic violence in each and every scenario? I know it's kind of weird because it's two women, and quite frankly, the fact that it's two women and we're talking about them in this domesticated capacity, some of y'all might find that a little weird. But again, if we're truly going to be mad at domestic violence, we kind of got to say something about this, don't we? And the fact that nobody is should let y'all know something. The fact that nobody is should let y'all know something. Now, I'm going to let the cat out the bag here because I've looked at the situation. I've read a few articles about it. Now, I'm going to tell y'all what's really going on right now. Because I read an article that struck me very interesting, and it didn't click with me until later down the line. But they were talking about their courtship and how the wife was not gay. Like, they said this in the first paragraph of the article, how, the wife was not gay. Brittney, obviously, she's a lesbian. She came out when she was still in college. But the wife was not gay, quote unquote, even though she married a woman. So what's really going on here is that, and this is how I look at it, that baby's not Brittney's, y'all. That wife done stepped out and went and got her some dick. And by the looks of her, it's probably some big old Dikembe Mutombo looking nigga. And she done went out and got some dick, which led to the domestic dispute. And then she announced that she was pregnant. And then the very next day, Brittney files for an annulment. That baby ain't hers. That baby ain't from in vitro neither. That's not an artificially inseminated baby. That is a manually insinuated baby. I messed that wordage up, man, but please forgive me. But that baby's not hers. That's what the problem is, and that's why she's filing for that annulment, which I find weird, because what church sanctions a girl-on-girl wedding? You know, because people get annulments because it looks better in the eyes of the quote-unquote Christian folks. You know, that's real big in the Catholic community. But it looks better than just saying I got an annulment. I mean, I just got a divorce. You know what I mean? Like somehow God is going to look on you more favorably if you say you get an annulment as opposed to a divorce. You know, God don't want your marriage to end, but at the same time, God don't want you to be unhappy either. And, you know, if you made a mistake, sometimes shit just doesn't work out. But that's what's going on there, man. That woman went out there, got her some miscellaneous dick, and she got knocked up, and now they're getting a divorce. Because she's going to try to spin it in the media like, oh, Brittany's not going to be there for a child and this and that. But nah, man, that's what's really going on. Oh, so, well, here we go. A-Road just says Brittany has said that the baby isn't hers and she has no relation to it at all. So bada boom, bada bing. There we go. So, yeah, I was spot on. Pat myself on the back on this one. So, yeah, well y'all have any more questions about that? We can get into that, but I want to move on to your questions because I really want to get to the topic this evening. I think there's a lot that we can discuss with that. A-Road says, and Caitlyn Jenner being involved with the ESPYs. Well, y'all know who Caitlyn Jenner is. We ain't got to go through that. But let me say this. Let me start out by saying this. If we can call Ocho Cinco, and we can call Ron Artest Meta World Peace, it's only fair that we call Caitlyn Jenner, right? I mean, that's only fair, right? You know, fair is fair. So that's how they feel. Now, me personally, I was content to chalk this situation up to a WTF and go on with my life. But there's been a lot of backlash about this and a lot of anger and a lot of hate coming from places. And, you know, I'm of the live and let live philosophy. That's just kind of how I roll. But a lot of people were upset about this. And a lot of people are voicing this false outrage in terms of the ESPYs honoring her with the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. Now, I will say this. There certainly is a level of courage displayed here. You know, there's certainly a level of courage going through this situation that she's displaying. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is check social media, check the online news outlets, and check all the hate and all the anger and the backlash that she's received. So there is a certain amount of courage, and, you know, I'll pop my collar to her for that. I don't really understand it. I don't really understand that transgender world. And quite frankly, it's not for me to understand. You know, again, I'm content to live and let live. If that's, you know, that's what you want to do, okay. You ain't bothering me. Just let me know before I just let me know what's up. Like, I see you out at the bar and I'm trying to holler. One thing leads to another. We go home and do the horizontal poker. And then you tell me, oh yeah, by the way, I used to be Steve. You might get your ass beat. And that wouldn't make it a hate crime. That's a bitch, you should have told me you used to be a man crime. You know what I mean? But seriously, though, yeah, live and let live, man. I don't understand that transgender thing. I don't understand the transgender community. But again, that's not for me to understand. So, let them do what they do. But there is a certain amount of courage that comes out with that. Now, in terms of the ESPYs, I don't understand why people are trying to act as if all of a sudden the ESPYs are a big deal. Like, when's the last time you watched the ESPYs? I really haven't watched the ESPYs since I was a kid. A lot of y'all might not even know what the ESPYs are. I really haven't watched the ESPYs since I was a kid. And hell, the only reason I watched them when I was a kid is because I was a kid. And I couldn't really do shit else. I'm a kid, so I couldn't go out and kick it. I couldn't drink. I couldn't go holler at girls. I couldn't drive. I was a kid. So, I better find something on that television to entertain me because I don't know what else I'm going to do. But, yeah, don't try to act as if the ESPYs are a big deal all of a sudden. I mean, they're free to do whatever they want to do. There's a lot of marketing that comes along with that because, anything associated with the Kardashian brings eyeballs, So, you know, there's a lot of marketing involved with that and whatnot, but, you know, it is what it is. She ain't expecting you. And if you ain't trying to holler at her, you know, let that thing live. Right? You know, things in this country have become so, A, things have become so polarizing, and B, everybody feels like as if they have to have an opinion on every single thing. You don't have to have an opinion on every single thing. You know what I mean? You really don't. Like, it's not that serious. But everything is so polarizing now. Everything is in two camps. It's either good or bad, right or wrong, good or evil, us versus them. And if you know anything about life, if you know anything about humanity, if you know anything about humans, we don't operate in black and white, man. There's shades of gray. Sometimes bad people do good things. Sometimes good people do bad things. You know? I'm sure there was a time that Hitler took a cat out of a tree or some shit like that, or gave a little girl $1. It's shades of gray, man. It's shades of gray. You can't lose sight of that, man, because once you lose sight of that, you lose sight of humanity. And that's what's going on now. We're losing sight of humanity as a species because everything is so polarizing. So if you don't fall into my camp, or if you don't agree with my beliefs, whatever they may be, I'm not fucking with you, and vice versa. And then we see these people on television, and yeah, we treat them as if they're inanimate objects and not as if they're human beings. Not to excuse every despicable act that somebody does, but all I'm saying is you got to understand that there's nuance, there's subtlety, and there's shades of gray when you deal with human beings. But we're so quick to want to label somebody, oh, that's a good guy or that's a bad guy, especially people that we really don't know. So don't get caught up in that, man. Don't get caught up in don't fall for the okie doke. Do not fall for the okie doke, man. That's the old divide and conquer. It's been working since the beginning of time. When y'all melon farmers gonna catch on? So don't fall for that, man. But yeah. And again, you don't have to have an opinion on every single thing. It's okay to sit a couple out, okay? It's all right. So yeah, they want to give Caitlyn a SB, man. Give Caitlyn a SB, man. Whatever. Who cares, right? Let that person live, man. I'm still gonna make jokes about them because that's just what I do. But yeah, man, let them live. You know, my thing is, you know, the dude was 65 years old. You kind of just want to ride that out. You probably only got like another hot 15, so you're gonna live 15 years as a woman. Well, I guess you skipped the menopause and all that, so you know, whatever, man. Do what you do, Kate. Do what you do. She actually looked better as a woman than she did as a man, right? Which is weird. But anywho, whatever. Let them live. Let's see what else we got going on here. Also, what do you think about Raven-Symoné, pardon me, getting a spot on The View? She earned it. That's what I think. She earned it. She came out and told the dominant society exactly what they want to hear. So of course they were to give her a spot. And I'm not gonna. I got love for Raven. Because see, one thing you got to understand, Raven grew up in the machine. You know what I mean? Raven-Symoné has been famous since she was, 5 years old? She was, like 4 or 5 years old when she was on the Cosby Show? So she grew up in the machine. So that means that her perspective, it has to be a little skewed, right? Like, doesn't it have to be? I mean, seriously, her perspective on life and whatnot has to be a little skewed, doesn't it? I mean, good or bad, right or wrong. Now, she says a lot of inflammatory things, and, you know, again, I give her a pass because she don't know any better. You know, she's ignorant. So, you know, and I mean, and again, ignorant doesn't mean stupid. Ignorant means not knowing. So, you know, her judgment and her point of view is going to be a little skewed because she grew up in the machine. She's been famous longer than some of you melon farmers been alive. Like, remember, how long ago, how long has Cosby been off the air? Cosby's been off the air damn near 20 years, right? So, you know, we gonna let Raven do what she do. Raven is harmless. But I'm gonna tell you like this, Raven eventually is going to get her nigga wake-up call. And it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be stiff. Because see, that's how they do. They get you to say some greasy shit about blacks or just, you know, just disregard race whatsoever. And then once they put you on that pedestal, they pull the rug out from under you. And now you have nowhere to go. You have no support base. You have nothing. So you're just out there by yourself. Happened to Tiger Woods. Happened to Bill Cosby. Happened to Herman Cain. Y'all remember Herm, right? They tried to do it with Mike, but Mike came back around towards the end of his life. They tried to do it with him too. So yeah, that's just the game, man. You just got to peep game. So of course they gave her a spot. And she's shaking it up a little bit. It's a different voice. It's a different person. You know, she's getting a little stale. So, you know, that's what's up. What else we got going on here? Let's see. And everything going on in McKinley, Texas right now. I know y'all heard about that, right? So I'll give you the brief overview. Pardon me if you haven't heard. So apparently in McKinley, Texas, there was a pool party in this gated community. And one thing led to another. I don't really know all of the specifics. The story is still coming out. But one thing led to another. Ended up one of the parents got into it with one of the kids that happened to be black. And then the cops got called in. Now, the first cop, he was cool. You know what I mean? He was just telling him, hey, man, you know, you running from the cops. Don't run. You know what I mean? He was cool. And then all of a sudden, Super Cop bring his ass in here. Fucking Dirty Harry Callahan. He brings his ass in here. And he starts tackling people and cuffing people and making them sit in the yard. And, yeah, it just turned into this whole incident. All black kids, by the way. And it turned into this whole big incident. He pulled out his taser on one. It was either his taser or his gun. So he ended up resigning from the force. But as far as that situation goes, man, I'm sick of beating a dead horse with y'all. I really am. I say the same thing. And it's like beating a dead horse. And quite frankly, I get sick of saying the same thing to y'all. Every week it's a new incident. Every single cotton picking week, it's a new incident. And this keeps happening. And this is going to continue to keep happening until you finally want to do something about it. Y'all seem content to not do nothing about it. Y'all want to sit back and complain or even ignore it until it happens to you, or want to sit back here and complain about it. I'm sick of saying the same thing to y'all, man, quite frankly. And then people ask, well, what are we supposed to do? You know, that's bullshit. I come on here every week, man, and I give us tangible solutions and things that we can start doing tomorrow. Y'all just ignore me. And I appreciate y'all watching. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the viewership, man. And I love each and every one of y'all. But I don't do this for y'all to watch me. Okay? My arrogance and self-confidence is sufficient enough that I don't need to come on here and bloviate and hear myself talk. Okay? My self-esteem is well. Thank you, Mom, for that, by the way. So I don't need to come on here and hear myself talk. But ain't nothing gonna change, man, until y'all decide y'all ready for a change, man. So again, I come on here week after week and I give you all tangible solutions and tangible things that we can do. But you don't hear me. So let me ask you for a second before we get into the topic. Let me ask you, why not? Do you not believe me? Even though I get proven right time and time again? And some of y'all even come to me after the fact and say, you know what, you were right. It ain't about me being right. Or do you think I'm full of shit? do you have a better way? You got a better way, by all means. Because, see, that's the great thing about my philosophy on things, man, and my philosophy on life that I try to share with y'all. See, when I come on here week in and week out, I talk about what's going on, but I also give you tangible solutions on what to do. I also give you things that I do in my life that I feel can help you, that I feel that can enrich you and help you to have a better and a higher quality of life. Things that I do that help me. So do you think I'm full of shit? Again, or do you have a better way? Because I'm willing to hear it. Like, my philosophy, it's fluid. I'm not so dead set in my ways that if you show me a better way, I can't concede that, you know what, you're absolutely right. That is a better way. But I try to give you solutions. We talked last show about unpacking your baggage. Like, I try to present you all with tangible things that you can do to enrich your life and to live a more fulfilled existence while you're here. But y'all just sit here, oh well, what the hell? And then you ask me my thoughts and my feelings on the McKinley incident. And my thoughts and feelings on the McKinley incident are the same as my thoughts and feelings on the Mike Brown incident. The same as my thoughts and feelings about the Zimmerman incident. The same as my thoughts and feelings on the Tamir Rice incident. The same as my thoughts and feelings on the Freddie Gray incident. The same as my thoughts and feelings on the Eric Garner situation. The same. Do you get the point, man? Every week is something new, man. And y'all just sit here and take it. And this is the part that I don't get. Y'all don't understand that you're really just sitting here waiting for your lottery number to get called, man. Some of y'all may think, oh, no, that can't happen to me. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later on about how it can happen to you. Keep in mind that I'm college educated. Keep in mind I make a decent living. Keep in mind I'm loquacious. I have an excellent grasp of vocabulary. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get back to that in a second when we get into the topic. But yeah, man, y'all just keep sitting here. It's like, oh, well, what the hell? Are you content? Are you just content to just play out the string? You know things are jacked up. But are you content to just sit on the plantation? Because there's only one way to change things. And it's for anybody, black, white, whomever. It don't matter because we all get screwed, so it really don't matter. There's only one way to change two ways to change things, okay? You either get your money up or you cut theirs off. You either get your money up or you cut theirs off. Because, see, the thing about this country, man, we're a capitalistic society, and you've heard people say that a zillion times. You've probably said it yourself, but quite frankly, I don't think you understand what that means. You don't even know what the golden rule was. They told you some bullshit. Do unto others as others would do unto you. Yeah, and you fell for that. No. The golden rule is he who has the gold rules. I keep hearing people up and down, left and right, they keep talking about this homosexual agenda. Oh, this homosexual agenda, homosexual this, homosexual. No, it's not an agenda. You know what's going on? Homosexuals got their money together. They aggregated their money and their resources. They put an agenda together, and then they put their money where their mouth is. That's why you seeing all that going on. It ain't no secret Illuminati agenda. Them niggas got their money together and put their money where their mouth was. And now you got the president of the United States coming out in support of gay marriage and transgendered and whomever else. Ain't no conspiracy. They played the game. They played the game, man. They played the game. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on McKinley, man. These things are going to keep happening until you decide that you don't want them to happen anymore. Because again, we're dealing with big business. We're dealing with corporations. Okay, I don't get off into conspiracy and conjecture. I don't talk about the Illuminati and all that bullshit because I don't know if it exists or not. I don't know. What I do know is that who owns this country, and that's the corporations. And the only thing the bottom line is the bottom line when it comes to them. Let me say that slower because you get that, because it was kind of some slick shit to say. The bottom line is the bottom line. So if you want to affect some real change, that's what you got to do. You got to affect their money. Either get yours up so that you can buy into the game, or you do something to affect theirs. Because see, everybody always wants to talk about, and white liberals, they do this all the time. Everybody wants to bring up Martin Luther King, and they cherry pick certain quotes that they talk about, that they use from King to kind of further their agenda or whatever it is they're trying to do. And we go back, and let's go back though. Let's go back to the Montgomery bus boycotts. Do you understand why the Montgomery bus boycotts worked? It's because people weren't going to work, because they weren't riding the buses to get there. People weren't working. So it shut down the economy, because you didn't have worker bees there to do the menial task. So it shut down the economy. So people weren't making money. So they had to figure something out. It's the same reason why riots or protest or uprisings or whatever you want to call them work. It's the exact same reason, because it shuts down the money. No matter how you feel about riots, you cannot deny that they are effective, because they shut down the money. And that's the only thing these clowns understand, man. And the sooner y'all understand that, the better off we'll be. But, what do I know? I'm just skinny nigga from Cleveland trying to make a way, hoping the Cavs can wrap it up, right? Let's see what else we got going on here. Oh, Abro says Bruce Jenner said he couldn't live the rest of his life not being himself. Well, you went 65 years being somebody else, dude. You might have wanted to ride that shit out. I'm just picking with him. Shout out to Caitlyn Jenner, man. You do your thing, man. Just don't try to get no dick over this way. Yeah. Abro also said, I think people are afraid to put plans into action, or maybe don't know where to start. Well, you can't say that, because if you watch this show, I'll tell you exactly where to start. I think you're scared. That's what I think. I think you're scared. Fear of the unknown. But again, man, you're a moral individual. You're a good person, man. You got God on your side. All y'all claim to be Christian, Muslim, or something else. So what you scared about if you got your guy running with you? What you scared for? He gonna look out for you. Maybe you ain't that holy, huh? All right. It's funny, man, because I meet a lot of people, because I have a very gregarious personality. So I run into a lot of people, and I converse with people of all walks of life. And I tell people a lot, hey, man, I got a show, man. You should check it out sometime. And, we talk about this, that, and the third, right? And people are real excited when I tell them about it. Oh, yeah, man, I'm going to check it out. Yeah, all right. Yeah, send me the link. Hell yeah. And so I send people the link, and it's funny, because then I don't know if they watch it. I don't know if they don't watch it, or if they watch it and don't really like what they hear. And then it's weird, because people avoid me after that. Like after, I send them the link and whatnot, then they avoid me. And it's very conspicuous. And again, I'm very observant, and I understand human psychology, so I pick up on it very quickly. And it's just funny to me. It's like, and then they don't bring it up, so I don't bring it up. And then it's just this real awkward thing. It's this awkward dance we're doing. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. I don't mind awkward situations, because I find them funny, so that stuff doesn't bother me. But I think sometimes I say things that need to be said. And sometimes the truth hurts, man. I'm not going to lie, man. I give y'all the truth, man. And sometimes the truth hurts, man. But You've been lied to for so long that you might not even know what the truth sounds like, quite frankly. I come on these airwaves every day, man, and I speak truth to power. And wait till we get the viewership up. Wait till I get some viewers, some more viewers in this Melon Farmer, man. You don't think they're going to be coming after me? You don't think they're going to be keeping an eye on me? But it is what it is, man. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm not going to be scared of filth. I speak truth to power, man. That's what I do, man. That's why I have this platform, man. And quite frankly, if you're not as pissed off as I am, I don't know what's wrong with you. If you ain't just as angry as I am, something wrong with you, man. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Something wrong with you. It's real spit, man. That's real spit. You either happy being on the plantation or they've beaten you down to acceptance. Or you're just completely oblivious. And quite frankly, if you're completely oblivious, I kind of prefer that because I can work with that because I can show you the way. But if you stuck on the plantation and you happy being on the plantation, getting your little butter biscuit and your little pat on the backside, or if you just completely beaten down and just thrown in the towel, there ain't really much I can do for you. You might as well stop watching. You might as well stop watching, man. Go watch The Housewives of somewhere. The Housewives of Dubai and shit or something. You know what I mean? Go watch Duck Dynasty or something, which is fake, by the way. I hope y'all don't like that. That show's completely fabricated. Like, completely. Those are all actors. So if you are a fan of Duck Dynasty, I just kind of let the cat out the bag. That is a completely fabricated show. There ain't nothing real about that. Them dudes are actors. But yeah. Because once you decide you're fed up, they don't have any other choice, man. And it's a lot of this racial shit coming out lately, and they're trying to elicit a race war. I see that. I see that clear as day. They're trying to elicit that. Because the fact of the matter is, as long as we beefing with each other, man, we don't take the time to sit down and talk and say, hey, man, we both getting screwed. And see, the thing is, we don't really know each other. We don't really know each other. There's good white folks out there, just like it's good black folks, there's good Asians, there's good Latins, there's some assholes out there too, man. But we don't really know each other because we don't live by each other. We don't really converse with each other, not on anything real. It never gets past pleasantries, you know. Like, you know, Black Star said it best. We're not compassionate, we're only polite. You know? And then whatever our views are, we get on this social media thing and we hide behind that and we just type away whatever our views are. And if you don't agree with my views, it's very easy for me to just shut you out completely. So there's no conversing, there's no learning from each other, there's no nothing. So that's why I'm here, man. I'm trying to bridge the gap. You know, I'm not the black people's champ, I'm the people's champ, baby. I love all y'all. And unfortunately for me, I ain't got enough good sense to give up on y'all. I need to just say to hell with all y'all and do my thing. Then look down on y'all from on top of the hill and say, you know, while I'm counting my bread. But I can't do that because I'm not built like that. Because I know better, so I got to try to do better. Hence straight talk. So that's a good one too, bro. Or just waiting for someone else to do it. Yeah, that's the shit that kills me. That's the shit that kills me. Y'all sitting around waiting for somebody else to do it and solve your problems. That don't even make sense, man. That don't even make sense. Or y'all sit there and pray about it and half of y'all don't even know how to pray. You know? So yeah, God helps those that help themselves. Or perhaps you didn't read that passage. So praying is cool, but, you know, God looking at you right now like, nigga, when you gonna do something? Like, I got all this going on, and I'm willing, you know, I got everything going on right here. I'm worried about, like, the whole universe and shit. But I'm willing to hear your little complaint and help you out. But, nigga, you got to do something first. Because, see, I'm not going to bless you, and then you still doing the same dumb shit you were doing. And then you right back into position because I'm God. So I see what it is. So I know what's going to happen. So no, I can't give you what you want. You sitting up here asking me about a damn car. Yeah, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I gave you eyebrows so that the sweat from your hair and your forehead doesn't drip into your eyes. And you sitting up here talking to me about a damn car. God a lot patient than I am, man. I might have got rid of most of y'all motherfuckers just off the strength. You know what I mean? I would have sent like a flood or a tsunami through y'all town. Like, man, these niggas getting on my nerves. Natural disaster. Because most of y'all going to hell anyway because you don't live right. You think you live right. You want to do things to sound like a good person, but you don't really want to take the time to actually be a good person. You know what I mean? You want to do the things that good people do. You want to go to church. You want to say the right things to people. You know what I mean? But you don't actually want to be a good person because that's too much like work, right? So, you know. Y'all better, matter of fact, as soon as you get off the broadcast, y'all melon farmers need to go thank God that I'm not God. You need to go thank God I ain't God because, man, depending on the day you catch me, you want to come pray to me for a new fucking Xbox. Shit. That's real spit though, man. That's real spit, man. And see, we don't get enough of that. We don't get enough of that, man. Nobody's real anymore. Nobody's real anymore because everybody's tired of offending. I don't give a damn about offending anybody, man. I don't have any sponsors doing this show. I joke and talk about Middleton and Leinenkugel and stuff like that. I endorse them because I enjoy those products, but them niggas ain't giving me a dime. I don't have no endorsements to lose. So I can tell you the truth. I ain't got nothing to lose. And I'm always find a way to make me some money, so I ain't worried about y'all. I ain't trying to get no money out of y'all neither. Nigga, I'll go open up a damn lemonade stand. It's real spit. And will probably do well. Just the sheer audacity of somebody opening up a lemonade stand. That shit would do gangbusters, man. You know, as long as the president eating, I'ma eat. So, I ain't worried about that neither. I got the courts and shit trying to take my money right now, but we're gonna get to that in a second. But yeah, so I ain't worried about that. I ain't trying to get no money from y'all, man. I'm trying to wake y'all the fuck up. You know, I'm gonna be all right either way. Personally, I'm gonna be just fine. And I'm gonna find a way to make sure my family fine too. So I ain't doing this for that. You know, doing this for y'all, man, because y'all need to hear the truth. Somebody got to be honest with you. A lot of y'all ain't even honest with yourselves, so somebody got to be honest with you. You got to hear some truth from somewhere. You know, I'm gonna be just fine, man. You know, don't think you doing me no favors by watching this damn show, and I appreciate you watching it, and I love you for it. But you know, don't get it twisted. I'm doing this for y'all. Pardon me. So, anywho, we're going to go ahead and get to the topic today. You're listening to Straight Talk. If you just joined us, we talked a little bit about the Caitlyn Jenner situation and how y'all need to just let people live. We talked a little bit about Raven-Symoné going on The View and why she's on The View because, you know, she tells people what they want to hear and she's a new face and a new voice. We discussed briefly the Brittany Griner situation and how people don't really want to touch that because they don't really know how to broach that. We also talked about the McKinley situation down there in Texas, and that's how I kind of went off on this tangent right now that I've just concluded. But so let's get to the topic this evening. Taking L's in life. So let me tell you a little bit about what's been going on with me for the past few weeks. Some of y'all are familiar, some of you are not. And I'll spare you the specifics because I don't want to get into all of that because it's not really important. But let me give you a brief overview of what's going on, okay? So fast forward a few years ago, I was hanging out in Toledo, Ohio, and I was robbed at gunpoint by a police officer. And then I was taken to jail on a bunch of trumped up charges. Okay, so let me put you in the situation just real quick. Okay, I'm not going to waste your time, but let me just put you there real quick. All right, so I'm hanging out with a few buddies of mine. It's me, it's my buddy Eddie, Eddie's father, and then another buddy of Eddie's. And we're just hanging out in downtown Toledo. I stayed there for maybe about 6 months. I lived there. And we're just hanging out, champagning and campaigning, enjoying the moment, enjoying the accomplishment, whatever that may be. So I run into a young lady that I knew. And this young lady, she happened to be an exotic dancer. It is what it is. And she asked us to drop her off at her place of employment. And it was right around the corner from where we were. So I wasn't driving that evening. Eddie was driving. He just got his new car and he was, trying to shine and whatnot, trying to floss. So we dropped her off at her place of work and we're sitting outside for roughly 5-10 minutes trying to figure out what we're going to do for the rest of the evening. So finally, after about 10 minutes of deliberation, we decide that we're just going to go grab a bite and call it a night, right? So Eddie asked me to drive because I was less drunk than him. So y'all know how that go, man. Don't judge me. Y'all know how that go. So now we did have some alcohol in the back seat. Not gonna lie, we had a bottle of vodka, half a bottle of vodka, and we had some brews in the back seat. Now that's all bad. Fair enough. That's all bad, right? So Eddie asked me to drive. So, okay. So he hands me the keys and we each get out of our respective doors or sides of the car. And we switch places. So he's riding shotgun and I'm getting ready to drive the car. So as soon as I get in the car and as soon as I put the keys in the ignition, all of a sudden out of nowhere, I've got this big fat white boy or white man sticking his gun in my face, telling me to put my fucking hands on the steering wheel. So I don't know this guy's a cop. I'm thinking we're just getting robbed, which is exactly what happened. We didn't realize he was a cop until about maybe, 2 or 3 minutes later when 2 more squad cars pulled up. But by that time, he had already pulled us out the car, snatched all of our wallets, took all of our money, didn't check the money in the evidence, checked the wallets and whatnot in the evidence and the phones and whatnot, didn't check the money in the evidence. And then they take us to jail on some trumped up charges. Now, while we're in jail, they put us in different holding cells and then they release us one by one. So we have no contact with the others. Phones are dead. Money is gone. And at the time, I was hurting at the time. So this was all the money I had to my name and this cop took it. So I had to walk back to where I was staying at the time. So I get back up with Eddie and his father later on that evening. I go over their house and come to find out that the cops they tuned Eddie's dad up. He had a knot over his eye and his eye was swollen shut. He was in a sling and he had bruises on his chest and as well as his belly. So me being the young punk I am, I ran. I left town, man, because quite frankly, who the fuck do you call when the cops rob you? Superman ain't real. Batman ain't coming to save the day. So I leave town. So, and you know what the funny thing is? Maybe about roughly 10 months after this situation happens, the cop ends up getting killed by this 14-year-old white kid. Shoots him twice in the chest, dead. So not only are they parading this melon farmer around town like a hero, this clown gets his own segment on the TV show America's Most Wanted. Y'all are familiar with that show, right? You remember he used to come on Fox. He gets his own segment, Fallen Heroes or some shit like that, right? So I really ain't got a prayer because I'm black and he's blue. So I really ain't got a prayer. So I left, right? So I just bounced, I went and I spoke with a couple of attorneys. I spoke with a public defender. I spoke with people and I was telling them what happened. And of course, nobody believed me. So I left. So, I left. Who the hell do you call when the cops rob you? So as a result of that situation and me not completing it, I ended up getting there was a warrant out for me. They call it a warrant block. So what they do is they alert the DMV that Department of Motor Vehicles, whatever they call it in your state, same thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And they put a block on your license. So as a result, your license becomes suspended. So fast forward to Mother's Day, I'm driving. I'm out here in Arizona right now. So I'm driving. And out here, the cops can just randomly run your plates under the guise that they're trying to see if you're in illegal, right? So the cop pulls my plates, runs them, pulls me over, finds out, yeah, I'm popped, license suspended. They tow the car, all that good stuff. So I have to go to Toledo. So I have to fly out to Toledo to take care of this situation. So so I can try to come back here and take care of this situation. Now, don't get me wrong, man. Clearly I shouldn't have been riding on a suspended license. I know all of that. Okay, I know all of that. But which one of you motherfuckers has never broken the law? But do you understand how the game works? But we're not going to go there because that's not where I'm trying to take this, okay? And so I'm sitting in the hotel room in Toledo, and they ended up postponing the trial, or, scheduling the trial and all this and that. And I'm sitting there and I'm angry and I'm bitter and I'm jaded. And quite frankly, I have every right to be. I have every right to be. But then it dawns on me, I prayed about the situation too, because I had this. Whenever I get overcome by this anger and that, that frustration, I always pray about it. And the reason being is because that shit feels good. You know what I mean? Like if you allow that anger to consume you, it will, because it feels good, doesn't it? It feels good when you get wronged by somebody. You feel that anger. It feels good, doesn't it? So I always pray about that because I know no good can come of that. And, it dawned on me that, and this is how we came up with the topic today, is that, it was just an L. And sometimes in life, you just got to take that L. Now, by L, I mean that loss. And I have this conversation. I got a real good buddy of mine. Shout out to Cody Eulis if you watching. What's up, brother? I have a conversation with him. I talk to him about this constantly because he's kind of a hothead and he's a fighter. And there's absolutely positively nothing wrong with being a fighter, because that's the only way you can maneuver and make a way for yourself. You got to be a fighter. But I constantly tell him, I said, hey man, you want to be right, but you don't want to be dead right. Now, what I mean by that is you don't want to be so hell-bent on proving your point that it ultimately consumes you and it becomes detrimental to you. So in other words, you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them. Excuse me, you got to pick and choose your battles. Everything can't be a fight. A, that's exhausting. And B, it's taking you off your path. And you got to understand that, and you know this, you just don't think about it anymore. Because you learned it as a kid. What they say, in every life, a little rain must fall. Sometimes you just got to take that L, man. Because the fight's not worth the fight. And sometimes things you just going to crap out. Sometimes you just going to roll snake eyes, man. That's just what it is. And there's no way to get around that. We back. There's no way to get around that, man. And ultimately, in real spit, man, ultimately in life, you lose anyway, because we all die. So you take the ultimate L. So what you do in those situations is you might be mad, you might be bitter. You got to work through those. Because remember, we talked about that the last time we spoke, about exercising those demons and unpacking that baggage. You can't hide from how you feel because you feel how you feel. So you can't hide from that. So you have to embrace it. And then you have to understand why you feel that way. And then you have to begin to proceed to work yourself through those feelings. And ultimately, you got to understand that sometimes you're just going to take an L. And when you're in the eye of the storm, it seems a lot worse than it is. But you have to understand that as long as you keep breathing, everything is going to be all right. Think about the shit you were worried about 3 years ago. Is it the same stuff? Of course, there's going to be some overlap, but for the most part, a lot of that stuff kind of fell by the wayside, right? Or it worked itself out. So you have to understand that you're not going to win them all. And see, the winners in life are determined not by the people that never take L's, because everybody takes an L. The winners in life are determined by the people that are able to take those L's, brush them off, brush that dirt off their shoulder, pick themselves up, and keep it moving like an escalator. Because nobody gets through life unscathed. Nobody. And again, we take the ultimate L at the end anyway, because I ain't met nobody that could. There's one dude. I ain't met nobody that can die and came back except for that one dude, and he ain't telling how he did it. So you have to learn to take those L's, man, and whatever the situation is, man, glean what you can from it. Learn whatever lessons there are from that situation, and then move on. And then do what you got to do. Pick yourself up and keep it pushing. Because as long as you keep breathing, you're going to be all right, man. I have anger issues from time to time, and I did this years ago. Whenever I got angry, I started writing it down in a journal. You know what I mean? I logged it, time, date, what I was angry about, how I was feeling at the time. So I would just write it, and then I would just let it be. And then, 6 months to a year down the line, I would go back to that journal, and I would go back to that entry, and I would just flip through the journal, and I would look, and I would chuckle to myself. Because whatever it was I was angry about, it was so silly and so trivial, and so asinine that I didn't have any reason in the world to be upset about it. And I can laugh about that now. You know what I mean? Because it was not that serious. So understand, man, in life we're going to take L's, man. There's no way to avoid that. Don't allow those L's to make you gun shy to where you don't want to make any moves. And don't allow those L's to beat you down to the point of submission, where you just throw in the towel and say, okay, this is just my lot in life. I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to whatever. I'm just going to grind it out until I get up out of here. You can't allow those losses to define you. Again, you can't allow those losses to define you. You have to understand that they make you tougher. Oh, what's up? Cody is listening. What do you say here? I like to think that at every opportunity I've been threatened with resistance, it's been met with resistance. And not only me, but it goes down my family tree. It's in my veins to fight back. Fair enough. Bruce Banner disease. Fair enough. But everything can't be a fight, man, because that shit becomes exhausting. And it exhausts your resources a lot of times. A lot of times it'll exhaust your energy. And you can't be so hell-bent on proving your point, especially to people that, quite frankly, they might not even matter. So sometimes you just got to let that ride off your back like water off a duck's back. Don't let that fight leave you, because you're going to need that fight in order to succeed in this world. In order to leave your mark in this world, you're going to need that fight. But you also have to understand that sometimes some fights aren't worth fighting. Sometimes you got to take the path of least resistance. And it's hard because you got nuts. Especially, I'm talking to my men out there now. It's hard when you got nuts, because nuts make you automatically competitive. So it's very hard when you got nuts. But again, you got to play chess as opposed to checkers. Checkers, you just react. Oh, I'm red. There's a black. Let me jump it. Chess, you got to plot. You got to strategize. You got to always be thinking. And a lot of times where we're angry, this is the thing that I hate about anger. Because at least me personally, and it might apply to you as well. I don't know. You're probably smarter than me anyway, so I don't know. But a lot of times when I'm angry, I can't think. And my brain is my greatest asset. Not that I'm intelligent. It's just because everything that you're going through in life, you've been prepared for it from your past experiences. So now you have to understand how those past experiences worked, what went well, what went wrong, and then you put those into your mental Rolodex. So when that situation arises again, which it will because life is cyclical, you're not at a loss for words. You're not out there bad. So you go back to that mental Rolodex. Oh yeah, this works. Okay, it's not an exact fit for this situation because certain things are different, but at least now I have a blueprint. So I'm not just out here ass out, because I have a blueprint that I can work off in this particular situation. So now we can go from there. So now I have a blueprint, so I'm at ease. So I'm not angry about it. I'm not scared. I'm not feeling anxiety because I don't know where I'm going, because I have a blueprint. I have an outline. So we'll follow that outline and we will have to make adjustments. So now that puts you back at ease. So now you're back in that moment. and you're living in that moment. And when you're in that moment, you're picking up on the little nuances of the situation. You're picking up on the little subtleties of the situation. You're picking up on other people's communication, because you got to remember 85% of all communication is nonverbal. So a melon farmer will tell you anything. Don't worry about so much what they're saying. See how they're saying it. See what they're saying. See why they're using that particular language as opposed to saying something else. Look how they're saying it. Are they looking at you in the eyes? Are they wobbly when they're saying it? Are they sweating? You understand what I'm saying? You're picking up on the subtleties and the nuances of that situation. But you can't do that when you're angry. You can't do that when you're scared. You can't do that when you're out of yourself, when you're in your feelings, when you're in your emotions. You can't do that. So you always got to keep your wits about you, because trust this. Trust this. Because this will see you through. Because you've been prepared for this moment through your past experiences. Now, does that mean you're always going to make the right decision? Of course not, man. We're only human. Of course not. But again, sometimes you got to take that L. How many times you said to yourself, oh man, I should have zigged when I should have zagged? We all do that, but see, this is the difference between you and I. You dwell there. I take it as a learning lesson. And I try not to dwell there. You understand? I don't dwell in the failures. I take my lessons from the failures, and then I try not to do those things again. And I try to do things differently when that situation arises again. You can't dwell in the failures. And again, a lot of times we get angry, and that's the nuts flaring up, or the ovaries, which is the female equivalent to nuts. So sometimes that fight's not worth it. Not all the time, but you got to pick and choose your battles, because you don't want to exhaust yourself, because you got bigger fish to fry. And sometimes it's just not worth wasting your time with a fool. Wise man told me, don't argue with fools, because people from a distance can't tell who's who. So don't allow other people to bring you down to their level. Your primary objective should be to bring them up to your level. And you all are smarter than me, so your level is probably up here somewhere. So don't stoop to their level. You bring them up to your level. And if they're not willing to come for the ride, you just got to charge to the game. You got to take that L. But don't allow yourself to be defined by your losses either, because a lot of you have struggled with that too. You sit back thinking about your shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Don't do that. Think about the now, because you're still breathing. So that means whatever you think you're struggling with, or whatever you didn't make right, you still have an opportunity to make it right, because you're still breathing. And you also got to understand that as long as I'm still breathing, everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be just fine. But you also have to understand that sometimes you're going to take an L. I'm taking an L right now. And quite frankly, between the plane fare and the court cost and everything that I've been through in this situation, I'm going to be out damn near 10 grand trying to right this wrong. When the only crime I committed was running, because I was scared. Now, I could allow that to make me angry. I could allow that to make me bitter. I could allow that to make me jaded. I could allow that to stunt my growth as an individual and my development. I could, but I can't, because I understand that sometimes in life you got to take that L. Now, let me break it down to the street vernacular. Let's say you're a hustler. Let's say you selling dope, you moving weight. Your stash house gets raided. Nothing you can do about that. You just gonna have to take that L. You're gonna have to lawyer up, And you're going to have to get out that situation as clean as you possibly can. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? There's no getting around that, man. Nobody leaves life undefeated. Nobody. Nobody gets out this Miller Farmer undefeated. And we all lose in the end. So don't worry about the L's. Now, that being said, sometimes you do have to roll up your sleeves and take a stand, but not every single time, because not every situation is worth your attention. You're way too valuable for that. And that brain power and that person that you are is way too valuable to be getting caught up with trivialities. So sometimes you just got to take that L. You learn from it and you move on. And it's true that whatever doesn't kill us does make us stronger. That's the gospel truth. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up for the evening, y'all. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. I thank you so much. God bless each and every one of you. If you're new to the broadcast, again, we do this mostly every Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook at Christopher Platt. Again, follow me on Facebook at Christopher Platt. You can also follow me on Twitter at The Real C Platt. Again, I'm on Twitter at The Real C Platt. Again, I thank you guys for tuning in this evening. We ran a little long, but I hope you got something from it. God bless each and every one of you. I love each and every one of you. God willing, I'll see you back here next week. Same Platt time, same Platt channel. Until we meet again, shalom.